Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. Really excited to have each and every one of you, some of our familiar faces here with us today. My name is Jessica Blessing Waluka. I'm a manager for the Tech Talent Accelerator program. I'm also a research project manager for the Science Research and Innovation Office. So as housekeeping rules, I ask you to all mute your mics and also turn off your videos, please. For questions, you could use the Zoom chat function, which is open to everybody. And I would also give you an opportunity at the end of the event, so you could ask a question. For the last 15 minutes, I'm gonna open it to questions and answers. So if you want to unmute yourself and turn on your camera and ask questions, you can be free to do so. To get things started, I'm going to begin with our land acknowledgement today. So Toronto is the dish with one spoon territory. The dish with one spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabes, the Mississaugas, and the Hanishinones that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans and all newcomers, have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. So to just get things started and just to get the chat function going, so as you all know, not everyone showed up here today. So for the people that are here today and present, I would love for you guys to all be active. Just using the chat function, could you just let me know what program you're in, what year you're in? I want our guests to know who our target audience are and who is present here today. So please use the chat function. Please could you let me know what program you're in, what year you're in. Please don't be shy. First year CompTIA students. Hi, Cindy. Welcome today. Okay. Fifth year business technology management. Hi, Vanessa. I know I said hi to you earlier. So please, I know, go on. If you have any alumni in the building, anyone from the Faculty of Science, anyone financial math. Hi, Lina. Welcome. Anyone from TRSM? Okay, career and co-op student success staff. Okay, we have some staff here today. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. As part of our agenda, I'm just gonna begin with just a welcome of the program. I'll just give you a brief overview of the program. Then I'm going to also hand it over to our esteemed guest is here with us today, Francis. I'll be handing over to her in a couple of minutes, and we'll be opening it up at 12:45 for questions and answers. So by 1 o'clock, this event should be completed. So the Tech Talent Accelerator program is a training program designed to train the next generation of industry-ready talent in the Canadian IT tech industry. So we collaborated with CompTIA, which is one of the largest global associations for the IT tech industries, and we also collaborated with its member companies. One of our member companies is here today, which is HP, which is Cynthia is here today, as well as Francis, who will be also speaking here today. So we're really excited to see what she has to say. So our program is divided into two components, which is the Explore Tech component and the Experience Tech component. Our Experience Tech component is currently on pause, but this is our Explore Tech. Our Explore Tech is divided into innovation seminars and also divided for our Hack Tech as well. We were happy to host a second Hack Tech, which was hosted earlier this month in collaboration with Bitcoin Bay. So that was really interesting to see everyone that came out to show their support and also solve the industry challenge. Also, I would also like to let you know this is our final innovation seminar of the year. So we're really excited. So thank you to everyone who has been here from the start of the semester to the end. So thank you so much. A warm welcome, a warm applause to everyone that has been here. So thank you very much. So I also want to do a quick shout out to our advisory board. Our advisory board we meet on a bi-weekly basis since October 2019. They all worked collaboratively with us to design this program from scratch. So they contributed to the training modules that we've all provided to the students. We have one of our members here with us from HP Canada as well. We have Cynthia Mooney with us. Cynthia, if you'd like to unmute yourself and just say a quick shout outs and some words of wisdom for the students as we wrap up this semester.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So appreciate being here. I love being engaged in the advisory board for TMU. So as Jessica mentioned, I'm with HP. I have changed roles from what you see there. I'm a sales executive responsible for selling our solutions and our products into 3 global accounts that happen to be US headquartered. Anyway, thrilled to be part of this program because we know we have a skills shortage within our technical industry. Again, you don't have to be in tech. I love that some folks are in science because Francis will talk about how we are looking at ways that we can be part of lend to the sustainability and to the circular economy. And we're looking for scientists to help us be able to make great ink that will go into our printers, not only for printing on paper, but also for things that we're doing in the industry around 3D printing, right? As we start printing food and body parts, and we need all those science kids to come on over to HP and help us do that. So thank you very much for being here. I do so very much appreciate it. I'm very proud of this program. We've absolutely put it in place for you, the students. And so with that, Jessica, I'll hand it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Cynthia, for being here today. We really do appreciate your continued support and effort towards this program. And everyone present here today, please use this opportunity to connect with Cynthia, connect with Francis. I'm sure you have questions. I'm sure they're happy to answer those questions regarding transitioning towards the tech industry. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our esteemed guest here with us today. So Frances is the head of sustainable impact at HP Canada, where she's responsible for business development and oversees corporate social responsibility programs nationally. With a focus on sustainability procurement, Frances is driving meaningful change cross-sector that supports a more circular and sustainable economic future for Canada. With more than 30 years of experience, Francis is recognized as one of Canada's top sustainability professionals, having received 2 Clean 50 awards and has led HP to become the most sustainable technology company in Canada. Without further ado, please give me a warm welcome for Francis Edmonds today.
Thank you. Delighted to be here. If I can just share my screen. Here we go. Let's see if we can get this to show properly. So we're here to talk about the impacts of technology from a sustainability standpoint and what you need to know about what to do about these impacts. So I'm going to go at a fairly fast pace, so hopefully you can keep up with me, but I do really enjoy questions, so feel free to put them in the chat. And of course, we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. So what I'm going to cover today is, what is the impact of technology? And then we're going to talk about the circular economy. We live in a linear economy today, but we need to get to this circular economy, and I'm going to show you why we need it, a little bit about HP and how we make the circular economy come to life, and some of the work that Cynthia is doing in terms of selling services is a very key piece of this. And then how does that impact you and your studies and your eventual work, and what can you do today? Because we need to have some action. So when you start to go into the workforce, hopefully you'll be looking for a social purpose company that is here to make a difference. Yes, we have to make a profit, but we're here to make a difference. And you already heard that we're Canada's most sustainable technology company. Obviously, I would not ever make a statement like that without backing it up. And you can see here lots of proof points, including external recognition for the work that we do. And of course, a key proof point is one of the environmental education programs that we have in helping others understand the importance of technology and sustainability. So by 2030, HP aims to be the world's most sustainable and just technology company. And we're doing that, we will be doing that, and we are doing that through focusing on climate action, human rights, and digital equity. So we have lots of goals that we're trying to meet, and one of them is reach 75% circularity for products and packaging, along with, as Cynthia mentioned, We're looking for more than 30% technical women in engineering by 2030 and a 50-50 gender equality in leadership. And we can't get there without bringing bright young people like yourselves into HP and attracting and retaining you to want to come and work at HP. So we're very transparent about the goals that we have and the work that we're doing. And I'll put this very simply, that you cannot be sustainable if you are not transparent. And so working in technology, there are many, many opportunities around sustainability, and it's not just about designing and using the technology. We need people who can count the things that we're doing. We need people who will work on the social impact side of things. So transparency and sustainability go hand in hand. So let me ask you this. Do you agree or disagree with this statement that the global technology industry generates as much carbon dioxide, and this is one of the many gases that are causing climate catastrophe, and I'm using that word very carefully, as the aviation industry? I don't have time to do a proper poll here, but actually this is true. And most people are quite surprised by that, because planes are very visible. Many of you will have taken a plane, you see them in the sky. What you don't see is the back end of technology. It's seen to be a very clean industry. Nobody really has been in a data center and seen the electricity meter spinning. Technology is very energy and resource intensive. So if you look at this bus shelter and you think about your last technology purchase, and you think, how many of these criteria on this bus shelter did that technology purchase meet? Did you even ask the questions or think about them? And then the next question is, if the piece of technology that you bought didn't meet these requirements, how do bad technology or products of any sort get removed from production? And most people have never thought about this. And usually the most common answer I get here is that, well, governments need to regulate it. We have about 300,000 items in the average North American household. There is no way that government could actually write regulations to cover all of those. So the answer to how do we get bad products taken away from production is we have to stop buying them. And today we don't do that. Today we buy solely based on price. And what that creates is this linear economy that we exist in today. So we dig stuff out of the ground, whether it's oil to make plastics, or here you can see pictures of people mining for conflict minerals. We make something with it, and we're talking about technology, a cell phone, a printer, a server. We use it, and in some cases, some of the things we use in our linear economy, think of a disposable coffee cup. We use it for maybe 10 minutes, if that, and then we throw it back in a hole in the ground. And you might think, well, we're Canadians, we do a lot of recycling, don't we, Francis? Hold that thought. And today we're digging 100 billion tons of material out of the ground to make all of these things that we enjoy and use. And so what is the impact of this? So if we looked at the impact of digging all the metals and the oil out of the ground, and we added farming in to feed all of us, that is responsible, the extractive industries are responsible for 50% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions, the ones that are causing climate catastrophe, and 80% of species loss. I don't have time to get into why species loss is important, but let's just say we are burning the book of life as we speak. And if we could come up with a way to not have to do that, not have to create 50% of the greenhouse gas emissions and 80% of the species loss, we should be working on this pretty damn quick. The other statement here is that if the rest of the world lived like Canadians, we need 4.75 planets to support them, and we don't have 4.75 planets. We've got one, and we're really not doing a good job of looking after it. So if we think about how circular Canada is, I just finished sitting on an expert panel for the federal government. Even after all of the recycling that all of us do, we're still at only a 6% circularity rate in Canada. We're still mostly a linear economy, and if we keep going the way that we're going, we will have 40% increase in waste, resource use, and emissions. And we need to be getting a 40% reduction in emissions by 2030. That's our goal. And of course, 100% reduction in emissions by 2050. So waste and resource use are tied into our carbon goals and our sustainable development goals. And you can see other countries are doing much better than we are. So simply put, we need a change in the way that we think about things. We need to change product design so that they do meet those criteria on that bus shelter. We need to collaborate more, and we need to then recover and recycle and not put things in holes in the ground. So there are 5 business models of circularity. The first one is making sure that inputs into your manufacturing are circular. So that would be renewable energy, post-consumer recycled plastics, recycled metals. Then we need to buy these goods, not as goods, but as a service. That is the single biggest thing you can do to contribute to the circular economy for a whole bunch of reasons. We need to make sure that products that are sold as a service are able to have a longer lifespan, and I'll show you why in a little bit. We need to keep and increase our use of sharing platforms. A good example might be Airbnb or Uber or Lyft. So we're already starting on that. And only then do we get to collecting the resources before they go into a landfill and putting them back into circulation and becoming circular supplies. So I'd like to share HP's circular economy strategy because it helps bring this to life. And here it is, a simple diagram that explains the things that we're doing. So the first thing is that we are building products that can be maintained and repaired and upgraded. And here's the tie-in to procurement. The cheapest way to make a laptop or a notebook computer is to take the 1,000 or so components and simply glue them into the shell. That is a very cheap way to make it. Unfortunately, that makes that product pretty almost impossible to repair and much, much harder to recycle, but it makes it cheaper. If 99% of individuals and organizations, including Toronto Metropolitan University, I'm willing to bet, buy based on price alone, you are incenting manufacturers to do the wrong thing, to make products that are not repairable, that are not upgradable, that are not recyclable. And you can change that by changing the way that you buy. Then we want to be able to offer our products as a service. And that sounds like a very simple thing to do, but actually it's not. It involves a whole sea change behind the scenes. And customers need to want to buy as a service, which they typically don't today in Canada. Then we want to take back products and reuse them and refurbish them. There are many, many individuals and organizations that need technology but don't have the resources to buy brand new technology, but a refurbished computer will do just fine. And only then do we get to this material recovery and reuse, which is and recycling and reuse. For us to get to our 75% circularity goal, we're going to have to recover parts and put them into new computers and technology. Now, you probably were wondering what this funny picture is of the 3D printed heart here. It's put there to remind me to talk about the role of 3D print. Cynthia already mentioned that, it's a big area of growth for our business, and here's why it's good for sustainability. On the left-hand side, you can see a traditional aluminium, I'll say it the English way, spare part for one of our wide format printers. You make this spare part by taking a lump of aluminium and scraping away the bits you don't need and drilling holes in it. If you redesign that and go over to the far right-hand side, you can see what's called a topological design of a 3D printed part that produces the same function that the aluminium one does, but look at the impact reduction that we have, a 95% lower carbon footprint than an aluminium spare part. Weight reduction and cost reduction. Now scale that across our entire industrial economy and think about the opportunity. 3D print delivers as long as we're designing for it. It will help shorten supply chains. So BMW have our 3D printers sitting on their production line, printing parts to go into the cars just as they're needed. Imagine this, most of you have, I do, a small electrical device, a vacuum cleaner, a washing machine, whatever, that is missing a small plastic part. In my case, I have a blender at home that's missing the safety switch. It means I can't use this blender, but the blender works fine. But I'm missing a small plastic part. Because my blender's 20 years old, that plastic part's not available. Nobody would pay to store that plastic part for 20 years, and I probably wouldn't be prepared to pay the cost of that. But if that small plastic part had been designed for 3D printing and the design stored in the cloud, and I could walk down to my local home hardware who would have a 3D printer and get it printed out there, then I could repair my device and my 20-year-old blender would continue to work for another 20 years. So 3D print enables the circular economy in so many ways. It's very exciting. What we've also done at HP is focused on making plastics circular, and we're doing this with a Canadian organization. And we started off doing this with cartridges because we were already collecting them. For 30 years, we've had a take back and recycling program. And so customers like to send them back to us. We weren't getting enough back, so we started adding in used plastics from drinking water bottles and clothes hangers. And then we were able to reformulate that plastic to make brand new cartridges out of it. So this is called closed loop plastics recycling. And word got out that we were doing this, and some nonprofits who work in Haiti asked us if we could take ocean-bound plastics from Haiti and put them into this process. And we certainly were able to do that. But we wanted to know whether this was better than using virgin plastic, which is made from oil, and remembering that oil, digging for that oil creates that 50% of greenhouse gas emissions and 80% of species losses. Could we do something better with recycled plastics? And what we realized was that this process that we're running in Canada, in Montreal, we're using 1 million used drinking water bottles a day in this process, and it has a 30% lower carbon footprint. Much less fossil fuel usage and less water used too. So this is pretty impressive. My question to you is, why aren't more companies doing this? So going back to our Haitian nonprofits here, they asked us if we could take these ocean-bound plastics collected in Haiti. There's no treated drinking water in Haiti, so everybody drinks bottled water or pop. And here you can see Rosette, one of these waste pickers. So we said, yes, let's give it a go. And fast forward, over 102 million bottles collected from Haiti that would have likely ended up in the ocean or in poorly managed landfills. And this ocean-bound plastic is now finding its way into more than 300 HP products. What's not to like about that? So continuing this theory of the circular economy and the benefits that it delivers, we have here an example of the carbon footprint of a typical laptop computer. And you can see here that 80% of the impact is manufacturing the product. These products are very energy efficient today. So we need to be thinking about making that embedded carbon spread over more of a life. And if you can just add 2 years of life to the average PC, you can decrease its carbon footprint by 30%. How would you add those 2 years? By making products that are repairable, by offering spare parts, by taking back and refurbishing and reusing. All things that don't get considered in a typical purchase of a laptop today. So I said buying as a service is the single biggest thing you can do to contribute to the circular economy. HP has 3 major services that we offer today, and these 2 can be offered as carbon neutral services as well, Managed Print and PC as a service. We actually compared buying and owning, in this case I'm showing you the data for a PC versus buying the service of computing power through device as a service. And we compared those 2 scenarios, and even we were surprised to see how much better the impact was across all of the categories that you measure in a life cycle assessment. And this is mostly because you can get a second and third life out of computers that are used in a service-based environment. This is our consumer offering. Because the customer buys the printer and then signs up for a subscription service for ink. It's a fantastic program. It's cheaper for the customer, it's better for the business, and it has a much lower carbon footprint for a whole bunch of reasons. Very popular, more than 10 million subscribers worldwide. I'm going going to skip over this. So how do you design for a product to be repairable? Well, we think about this very carefully, and it is an important design consideration, but not one that many people think about. In this particular product, we were very proud. It scored a 10 out of 10 from an organization called iFixit that literally exists to tear down technology products and see how easy they are to repair. So we're very proud of our record here. Now think about this one. We have a commitment to take back everything that we sell. This product is so big, it's a commercial printing press, and you can see a person would be standing on this gantry here. We designed this product, we don't want to take it back, it's too big. So we designed this product to have no known end of life. It needs to be totally field upgradable and fixable. And this is a concept that, probably our grandparents had. It's not something that is practiced today for the most part. And so we need to change our mindset and to be thinking about this, where more of the products we buy have no known end of life. So I've given you some examples of the business models in the circular economy. I have shown you how HP is bringing those to life. But now we really need to know how to make the circular economy happen. Yes, Francis, we want to reduce those greenhouse gas emissions that are causing climate catastrophe. We want to protect the book of life on this planet so that we can thrive. But how do we make it happen? One of the things we do know is that we are not investing enough at all. This is from the Council for Clean Capitalism. They're estimating the amount of money globally in Canada that needs to be invested, both private and public sector, somewhere between 125 and 140 billion a year. And what we're currently investing is only 15 to 25 billion. There's a huge delta there. Governments are not going to make up this gap. We need to incent all businesses in Canada to step up and start monitoring and their carbon, being transparent about it. Remember, I said you can't be sustainable if you're not transparent, and actually starting to do work on reducing carbon, spending some money to do that. We will never meet our climate targets. We have never yet met a climate target, and we're not on track to meet them today. I've been focusing very heavily on carbon, but of course in the supply chain is more than just the risks around carbon. There is slave labor, there is deforestation, there are plastics, there is waste, there's toxic exposure, and are we paying people a decent living wage? If you are managing your supply chain, you manage all of these things as well. And just to show you this in a slightly different way, this is HP's full carbon footprint, showing you that nearly 70% of our impact is in making our products. 55,000 employees in, 80 plus countries is only 1% of our total carbon footprint. And the rest is with our customers using our products, which is partly why I spend so much time talking to customers, and hopefully many of you are customers, but also where does the effort need to be to tackling the climate and carbon impacts. This is just showing you that for most organizations, and Toronto Metropolitan University would be one of them, your scope 3 carbon emissions are really, up to 97% of the impact of your organization, and 70% of that is in what you buy, and a big chunk of that is the IT. So this is showing you that if we're going to get serious about our net zero commitments and meeting any kind of climate goals, we need to be looking at what we're buying and how we buy it. We also know that most companies, and I'd say pretty much every company in Canada, has an opportunity to reduce their carbon emissions, but they're not doing it by 30% at no additional cost. Why are they not doing it? This is just bad management. What we also know is that if organizations make their supply chain more sustainable, it's a very effective way to start reducing emissions. But it's not happening. And CDP are claiming that this is the only way we're going to have a hope in heck of meeting our climate targets. They ask companies to voluntarily disclose their impacts and their ambition on carbon, water, forest, and supply chain. And the great news is more and more companies are reporting to them. The bad news is lots are not. What does that look like in the tech industry? So I wanted to show you this slide because, not to show off about HP's performance here, but to show you, we have companies, all of these companies are packaging more in paper-based packaging, cardboard, than they ever were, and none of them are reporting their impact on forests, except HP. And remember, you cannot be transparent, you cannot be sustainable if you're not transparent. They're also not necessarily paying attention to their climate and water impacts as well as supply chain. So we have huge opportunity here, but we need to push and pull organizations to set and meet more aggressive sustainability goals. So we need to practice sustainable or circular procurement, which means we need to get the best value for money, not the lowest price, for the most sustainable service and goods, from the most sustainable suppliers, in support of your organization's strategic goals. And I'll give you an example here in Canada. More than 32 million Canadians live in a municipality that has declared a climate emergency. That means our house is on fire. We literally have an emergency. What do you do in an emergency? You bring all of your resources and you focus on that issue. If you look at how 99.99% of municipalities in Canada buy, you won't even see the word carbon. The federal government has only just begun, and it's not even coming in until April 1st, to ask their suppliers to measure their carbon footprint, disclose it, and set a goal to reduce it. Only just. And we've been signing treaties for carbon reduction for years, decades. So the expert panel that I sat on released a report for Environment and Climate Change Canada, and you can see here the top recommendation for government and public institutions like Toronto Metropolitan is to incorporate circular procurement principles into their procurements. And the biggest way to do that is to buy as a service. I'm going to show you, this is a current government bid because government bids are public documents. I'm going to show you just how bad it is out there. So this is a multiple $multi-million deal that was issued this year. And this is our taxpayers' money being spent. And it was to buy PCs. So there were 3 or 4 questions in this bid document, which is great because usually there's none. But there were 4 or 5 questions here. They put in a requirement for an eco label called EP, which is good, bare minimum requirement. Didn't specify bronze, silver, or gold, but it was in there. Then they put a requirement for Energy Star, which is actually irrelevant because it's a requirement of EP. And then they put some packaging questions in. Well, that's good. Everybody's concerned about packaging. But if we're in the decade of climate action with a climate emergency in a carbon constrained world, why is packaging being focused on here? Look at this. This is the carbon footprint of a typical notebook computer. The packaging impact is here. It's almost irrelevant. It is irrelevant. But the kicker here was that these points scored 15 points out of a possible 5,000 points for this bid. What that tells all suppliers to this government is we don't care about sustainability. It's not important. Don't spend any money. Don't invest to create a more sustainable Canada. I'm going to skip over this, but the key piece here is that if you're going to score sustainability questions, they have to be scored high enough to make a difference. And Bob Willard's suggesting at least 30%. I have produced guidance on how to actually do this because we know people need information and help. We also ran a pilot to help broader public sector organizations use their superpower of procurement. And we've identified 4 things that need to be in place to make sure that sustainable procurement sticks. An executive level of commitment, smart goals for procurement, adequate resources and training, and then mechanisms of accountability. So what are the actions for you to take today? Talk to anyone who will listen. This is such a critical issue. We all use technology, but I'd really encourage you to go and talk to your elected representatives about the circular economy and the opportunity we have here. Think about your coursework. Can you build circularity into the way that you're studying? Can you build your projects around it? Can you do hackathons around it? Never design or buy anything without knowing what the impacts are and how you can minimize them right from that production all the way through to end of life. And of course, follow me on LinkedIn so that you can watch the kinds of things that I am working on today. So I will stop there. Hopefully I didn't go too far over time. No, I think I'm on time. So let's see if we have any questions.
Howdy.
Hello there, Max.
I have a question. I just wanted to say, great presentation. It was really eye-opening. Love to see what's going on there. My question is kind of about the incentive model to consume. I mean, you spoke a lot about including these considerations in consumption decisions, both individually and on a corporate level. I was wondering if HP and other companies are working on designing incentives to make that easier for consumers. If you guys are working on either behavioral nudges or product delivery that takes that into account to try and make consumers make the right choices rather than the easy ones.
Yeah, so that's a really good question and very hard to do. You know, we are a for-profit company, so we still do have to make a profit. And obviously, you know, the things that Cynthia sells pays my salary to come and talk to you guys, right? So there's a bit of gift that keeps on giving there. Probably may even be a decade ago, we actually produced a computer that was designed to last longer. I think it had an actual stated shelf life of 5 years, and nobody bought it. Right? Now, it may have been that it was ahead of its time, blah, blah, blah. But until we change that procurement function and idea around, I just buy a new thing, I don't care if it breaks down, I'll buy another new thing, I'm not